Hi everyone, my name's Simon Smalley and I'm from Small Animations, and today I'm going to go through a few of my methods for creating models for 3D printing in Lightwave 3D. So I've been 3D printing for a few years now. Really got into it during lockdown, where I started making replicas of Star Wars blasters and helmets and things. I didn't model these myself. I downloaded from thingiverse.com, and there's just heaps of really good models that you can download and play with. So I would download these as all the separate pieces, print them out, put them together, and then paint them. So I'd done a few of these. This is the Han Solo blaster. I did a Biker Scout helmet, Princess Leia's helmet from Return of the Jedi. I made a Pitbull hoverboard, life size, and then more recently, I've got into 3D printing with the resin printer. And through my work on Death in Paradise on the BBC, I printed out a life size Harry the Lizard, and he now lives on set for Death in Paradise, and they use him as a stunt double or size reference for the CGI shots that I produce. But we're not doing much of that today. We're going to do something a lot more simple. And today I'm going to look at doing something practical. So I have this synthesizer usually set on my desktop, and it's usually there flat on my desk. And I really wanted a little stand for this so that I could angle it up and make it sort of a bit more user friendly. So all I've done is I've taken some photos of this synthesizer. First off, I measured that, so I want the stand to sort of straddle this underside of the synthesizer. So I've measured that, and that's going to be 16 centimeters. And then I've just taken a couple of shots from the top and side, just so I can make a very rough scale model in Lightwave. And then here's the last one, and I've roughly put it here at the angle I want, something that feels nice. So from that, I'm going to just set up some backplane images so that we can start to model this placeholder. So on the top left, I'm going to select the top image. So here it is. And then from that, I'm going to create a box. So I'll just press N for numeric and come into my box here, and I'll just drag something out. And you can see here that already this depth is obviously way off. So I've got 575 millimeters. So I'm going to want that to be 16. Sorry, this needs to be 16 centimeters, 160 millimeters. So I'm going to just make it roughly the right shape, and we'll center that. Okay. And then from there, what we need to do is we're going to change the size of our backplane image, because we know this is 16 centimeters from top to bottom. So I'm just going to scale this down now until it's roughly in the right sort of scale. Do something like that, and then we can also move it vertically. Let's just scale that up by one. Let's have a look what we've got here. So let's just adjust that ever so slightly. There we go, something like that. It doesn't have to be exact. What we're going to do now is select this plane that we've made, and I'm just going to scale it in X. So I'm going to press H for scale, and then hold Control, and then I can just scale that just so it roughly matches that. So we've got our top view here. So now I'm going to come to the bottom right, which is our side view, and I'm going to add the side image. So this is going to be from the left. Sorry, so we'll go bottom right, and we'll add the side here. And again, we're just going to scale that down. It's really just to kind of match, so we can match the depth of the placeholder object. So, I mean, that is not too bad. So I'm just going to shift that up. Only has to be rough. And then I'm just going to extrude that. I'm not going to worry about the curves or anything like that. It's just going to be a reference image. So that is pretty much the shape of our synthesizer now. So I'm just going to get rid of these images because we don't need them anymore. And now we need to think about what our stand is going to look like. So what I'll do firstly is just make sure this is centered and resting on the ground. So I'll hit F3, and that's on Y there. So that's centered. Okay, and then I'm going to come into the new layer. Let's look at the layer in the background there, which is our synthesizer. And I'm going to create a box. So we'll come create box. And then we're going to just draw something that sort of surrounds our synth there. Okay. And then let's just center that in, or let's just hit center now. So we know that this is the kind of centered around our synthesizer. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to multiply, Handsaw Pro, and I'm going to hit M for numeric, and I'm just going to change the direction here to be odd. I'm going to hit clear to start again. And I'm just going to slide that until it kind of looks like it's straddling the synth, and I'm just going to mirror that as well, so that's the same. I'm going to select 2 polys in order across, and then I'm going to bring up my Bandsaw Pro again. I'm going to clear that, and that's sliced through the middle. Okay. So that's the basic shape of the part that holds the synthesizer. So what I want to do now is obviously I'm going to set the angle of this. So if we come into our backdrop here, I'm going to go bottom right, and let's have a look at the angle of this. So with this selected now, we don't have to worry about scale. It's just about matching the angle. So I'm going to have the cursor set to mouse. I'm going to move that, and you can see the corner of our synthesizer here. I'm just going to match that roughly there. Going to rotate, and I'm going to rotate from there. So that's matched the photo. I am actually just going to rotate that down just a touch because I think I may have done that a bit steep. Okay, but that'll do for me. You can obviously spend more time than I am, so we can get rid of that now, and that's our decided angle. So what I'm going to do is, with those 2 layers selected, I'm going to hit F3, and now the bottom of this is on our origin, which is exactly what we want. So from here, my design, I think I'm going to go for like a sort of like an A-frame. So what I'll do is, firstly, I'm going to try and get this thickness to match the thickness of this. So what I'll do, select this point, I'm going to press Alt-T for the transform tool, and then I'm going to right click on one of these edges, which is on the same plane as the point. So now when I move it, it's moving along that edge, which is just what we want. So I'm going to move it to about here. This will be the thickness of the base. I'm going to select that edge, press E to extend, T to move, hold Control, and then we can move this out. So I'm just going to straighten these up by, if we want, we could select this point and then this point, and then come to modify, align to the last point's Z position, and then that will just align those. So we're going to do the same again on here, Alt T, that's kept the orientation from the previous one, and we're just going to give that a little bit of thickness, and then I'm going to select this edge, E for extend, and then we can press V for value, and we can just send that to be that kind of setup. Okay. I'm just going to see if I can just round this off just ever so slightly, just to make that look a bit nicer. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this point to that point. I'm going to just select this point and look at the information. I've got 14.29, so I'm going to copy that. And when I select this polygon, I'm going to press Shift K for the knife tool. Hold Control while you drag it out to make it flat. And in the numeric panel, we can start that same value and end at that same value on the point we selected, and we know that's exactly the same height there. And then we can just select those in order, Control W to weld, and now we've got our shape. Okay, so it'd be nice for this to look a little bit more appealing and have some smooth edges and things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out now, and this will sort of form the basis for our stand. And what I also want to do is I want to create some kind of feet for it. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I might just extend this. So I'm going to press E to extend, then I'm going to press H for stretch, hold Control, and with the local pivot selected, and I'll stretch. Sorry, the selection selected, we can just drag that out there just to give that a bit more support. And then let's make another one towards the front, and I'll do the same again. So I'm just going to select these polys, wireframe on so it's a bit easier to see, press E, and then stretch them out again. We'll just go do a shorter one this side. So we've got something like that. I'm just going to actually just drag these points down just so it looks a little bit nicer. So that looks great, but it's very, very angular at the moment. So what I want to do is round some of this stuff off. So if I press the Tab key, I get this, which again looks rubbish. But we're going to use our bandsaw to tighten up all these angles. So I've got the bandsaw set to a keyboard shortcut of Alt E. So I'm going to be just using that. This one, I'm going to select two of the polys in the polygon loop. I'm pressing Alt E and then N for numeric. What I want to do is really tighten these up. So you can see as I slide that, that's going to tighten up to that end there. So I think I'm going to go for about 95, and then I'm going to mirror it, so it'll do both ends of that. So we're just going to go round now, select the two polys, Alt E again, and that will tighten up each and every angle. So I'm going to do these end pieces as well. And then I'll do these ones. Then we'll do along the top to make it flat. We'll do on the inside, and then I'll do this side as well. What we can do, if we want these ends to be a bit smoother, we can come into, let's make this full view. We can come into detail, edit edges, and you can select some of these edges, sort of drag it down. So you can see there it's sort of smoothed that off slightly, just to make it look a little bit more appealing. There we go, that's a bit nicer. I've forgotten to bandsaw that part there. So that looks pretty good to me now. This is going to fit our synthesizer, you can see there. Oh, it looks like I need to also edit the edge here, just to match that. Okay, so that looks all good to me. And so now what I'm going to do is press Control D, and that's going to freeze all that sub patch into actual polygons now. Okay, so at that point we can export that as an STL and just leave everything as is. So I'm going to save that as my stand. What we need to know though at this point is exactly how tall our geometry is. So when we get into our 3D software, 3D printing software, we may find that the scale system is slightly different. So what I like to do is copy the object into a new layer, paste it, and under detail we come to measure, and we'll create a bounding box of our object. So that's going to be exactly the same size as all of our geometry there. Okay, I'm going to just delete our standout there, and then what we can do is just delete out all of those planes. So we've just got the height there, that's all we need. I'm going to select 2 points, and then I'm going to go measure points, and this is 130.87. So I'm just going to write that down now, so that's going to be useful in my printing software. 8753, let's get the whole thing. Okay, so I've saved out my object now, so now I'm going to jump over to my 3D printing software. So here I am in Box. This is software for printing with a resin printer. You may be working with filaments, so you'll have to know your own software to do this correctly, but I'll just run you through what I do in Box. So I'm just going to open my stand STL, and it's telling me that the model is too small, so I want it scaled to fit the size. I will do that. Okay, so there it is, but we don't actually know at the moment how big that is. So what I'm going to do is just rotate it around to fit the print bed a little better. So I'll do that at -90. And then in scale, uh, this is in millimeters, this is actual size. So we're going to put in our values that we saved from, we wrote down from Lightwave, 0.8753. Okay. And we know that now is the exact size that we want for printing. So I'm just going to move that into the center slightly. Now, with a lot of objects, you'd usually want to create supports and things, but after doing an initial test with this type of thing before, I don't actually need any. It will print fine just as is. So all I am going to do is I'm going to hollow it out. So I'm going to use less resin to print this, and it's going to be lighter as well. If you try and print this on a resin printer as a solid object, it's probably going to fall off the build plate. So we're just going to hollow this out. I'm going to make my wall thickness 1 millimeter. Should be plenty. And now that's just going to show us what it's building. You can see the supports have been added inside, so that should be great. So the next thing we need to do is make sure there's a place for any trapped resin to escape from. So if we printed this as is, there's going to be a whole heap of resin trapped inside this that's never going to be able to cure. So we just need that to be able to escape. So I'm just going to add a hole. Yeah, and I'm just going to put it at the top here, because when this prints, it's going to be upside down like that on the build plate. And you can see there that any resin is just going to be able to run out of there. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to just slice that. You can see here, it's all looking good. So now we can save that out, and hopefully in about 8 hours time, I'll come back and show you what I've printed. So here we are, 16 hours of print time later. I've got my stand and they fit perfectly. So that's my method for 3D printing using Lightwave. Hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers.